this is a meeting of the Finance Committee of Great Barrington on December 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A, Parent 18, and Governor Healy's March 13, 2025 order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body, this meeting of the Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting remotely, following the instructions at the top of this agenda, and every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Also, pursuant to Mass General Law 7C 30A, Section 20, Parent F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listings of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So I know that we are recording this meeting for the town. Do we have any other people recording this meeting?
I sense that the Berkshire Edge is identifying as a recording note taker. So I'm not sure if that's electronic or a person. And I am doing an audio recording just as a backup.
Very good. Thank you. So to call the meeting in order, I'll do a roll call of the committee members. Anna Dwyer.
I'm here.
Madonna Meager.
I'm here.
Milena Serna.
Here.
Michelle Lubert.
Here.
Rich Geiler, I am here. So all are present. For committee member announcements or statements, I'd like to begin by saying we have so much on our agenda today. I am asking the public to wait until citizen speak time or media time for general comments. But of course, if we're going to vote on something, we will take questions from the public before we finalize our votes. Also, is that acceptable to everyone in the committee?
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
good.
Thank you.
Very good. Also, I want to give you a brief update of the CPC meetings that I've been attending and will be continuing to attend. At CPC.
Rich, can I just interrupt you before you go forward? Just a procedural question. Do
Yes.
you want me to monitor the hand raising or do you want to monitor that?
Well, you can certainly help me.
Okay, because just Milena has her hand up.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So Milena, did you want to say something?
I just have a statement when you are finished. I just wanted to make sure I can.
Oh yes,
make a
I'm
statement. Yeah.
expecting to call everyone. I just want to just get on the record saying a particular few things. So regarding the CPC, this year we have asks from the community for $4,164,000. We have less than $1 million to assign to projects that we can fund. Of course, all of those are just suggestions to the town, and the town itself will vote on those at the town meeting. But right now we have had two meetings for affordable housing and for historic ideas. On the 18th, we will also be looking at open space and also looking at the submission from the Ramsdale Library because they were unavailable on the day that we were having reviewing historic submissions. We will not be voting on them until probably January 13th, but I wanted you to be a little bit aware. Most of the submissions are from the town for town-owned buildings and projects. There are a few playground equipment, Old Maids Park, and then there are a few other things outside of the town, but even those cannot be fully funded. Just want you to know, do you have any questions about CPC while we're discussing it a little bit? Okay, then we have had an overview. Who else? Milena,
Yeah.
your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you. I have two brief comments. One of them is I would like to suggest that we try to push our meetings to the third week of the month in order to have more time to review the operating reports that Ali provides, because there is quite a bit of information. There is obviously, she provides great information to all of us, and that will give us more time to really properly review those. And my other comment is I really want to give a shout out to Liz. I think the package we have received is excellent. I think this time I feel we have received all information we really need to make the right decisions about the transfers. And there is a lot of additional information. So I'm very, very pleased to see that level of very competent management process. And of course, also want to say that, I did spend some time reviewing the information provided by Ellie on the bond issuance, which is also extremely helpful. So I really feel that the process is coming together really well. And thank you to both of you.
Milena, to your point, later in the meeting when we're discussing meeting dates and are the budget action calendar dates, I have reviewed the calendar for the town and talked to the select board staff. And I have a couple of suggestions where we might want to move our monthly meeting so that it does not conflict with other committees that may be very important for us to be able to attend or for them to be able to attend our meeting. So we'll be discussing that in
excellent.
item 9. Does anyone else have any committee members have any other announcements or statements? Thank you all. We're moving right along. So the approval of minutes. So we have 2 minutes to approve today. The first is from October 21st. We did not have a chance to review it last month because I was on vacation before it was received, and I had already had to put in my agenda in advance so that it was timely. So did everybody review the Finance Committee meeting minutes of October 21st, 2025? Does anyone have any suggestions for corrections or amendments or changes?
I do.
Okay,
Numbers on the minutes of October 21st, number 7.
getting there,
Pardon me?
getting there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. It says M. Luder asked about enrollment figures, and it was agreed she should ask the school. And it should be she would ask the school, not should.
Okay. She would ask the school. Okay.
And the rest
We
is
have,
fine.
all right, very good. Very good. I will put that suggestion in. With that correction, can I make a motion that we approve the minutes for our meeting of October 21st, 2025? I move that we approve those. Anyway, I have a second.
I second.
And let's see, Milena.
I was absent, so
Oh, you were absent.
vote. Yeah.
Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes, approve.
Anne,
Approve.
Madonna,
Aye.
and I say aye. So all approved with the one amendment. Now let's move on to our minutes of November 18th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and do we have any suggestions for corrections? Hearing none, I move that we accept the draft minutes for our Finance Committee meeting on November 18th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Milena, I assume that's an aye.
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Madonna?
Aye.
And I am an aye, so it is unanimous.
Rich, can I
Thank
just ask a question about content of the minutes? It mentioned in the minutes that the new town assessor was going to be coming to tonight's meeting. Did we decide to put that off, given how much we already have on the agenda?
We did. I
Yeah.
sent an email to everyone, but I
Yes.
just wanted to reiterate our reasoning. We wanted to not only meet the assessor, but we also wanted to look at data for the town, to have a discussion about, I'm trying to remember the term of art. A
Residential exemption.
residential taxation
Yeah.
exemption.
Yeah.
But Liz let me know that she had requested that the assessor do a formal presentation to the select board as well. So she suggested what we have a joint meeting for the select board and the finance committee. And I thought that was a very good use of our time, and it gives the assessor more time to make a thorough presentation. So I sent that date in. I don't have it on the tip of my tongue. You don't by any chance remember that date, Liz, do you? If not,
Yes,
we will find it.
it is the 26th of January, and we will be also discussing the seasonal communities designation, which the town of Great Barrington has just been formally recognized. And so we will be discussing all of those exemptions or options for residents to take advantage of, or if the community chooses to do so. So we will have a full team, not just the assessors, but the town planner / assistant town manager. So it'll be a more robust staff level presentation that you will have access to, people that can answer technical questions for you at the time of the meeting.
And
Thank you.
Great.
and I don't know if you guys know this, just I'm trying to work on my calendar. Is that a 5 o'clock or a 6 o'clock start?
I don't know the answer
Okay,
to
that's fine.
that yet.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
Yep.
Okay.
you.
Several of us will need to know in advance if it's a 5 o'clock start.
Yes, I'll ask the chairman, and we'll get confirmation to you
Okay,
as soon as possible.
Terrific.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Any other questions about the minutes? So I think at this point, our next discussion is on reserve fund transfer requests. Now, I know in the packet, I had included the excellent memo from Liz, but I think that is background material for the various discussions we're having today. So let's continue with the reserve fund. Liz, can I punt to you and have you present what you have for us?
Sure. I did give you a pretty robust memo, and
did.
that is just my typical standard for providing more information than probably you're used to. But I think it's very valuable documentation that we can refer to in the future, looking backwards, and having reference and also justification for these expenditures. So you have it, you can chew on it a little bit, and then have time to think about questions that you'd like to ask me during this meeting or any meeting in the future. So please anticipate that these types of memos will be accompanying all the backup material that you receive from me. Okay. So reserve fund transfers, we have quite a bit, and this was something I believe that you had anticipated when budget cuts were being discussed and calculated for the FY26 current budget year. Things had been tailored, pushed back. Then a reserve fund was increased from 100,000 as a typical to 150, just to allow some flexibility for these types of unanticipated expenditures. So we'll start with the operating on your first page of your memo that I received.
Sorry, Liz, can I ask you, could you put it, or
I'll do that.
put it
Yep,
on
I
the
can I'll
screen
do it
so we
right
can
now.
we can
Yep,
all refer to
yep.
the same document? Yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
No
Yeah.
problem.
And thank you, Melina, for
Yeah.
was suggesting that. So yeah, so this is the first one from the town treasurer collector. There are two within her requests. One is postage, and that is across the town. So there is a need for additional postage. The postage is it is more. It was recommended actually previous to the budget cuts that we were going to need to have additional funds. However, it was decided that it is kind of a fluid budget. It's not, we don't know how many items that we're going to be mailing every year. So I think the decision back when the 26 budget was being planned that that could be presented to you in a reserve fund transfer when and if it was even needed. So it has been identified that it is needed. The postage rates have gone up. And this again is this supports the entire organization, not just one department.
I have a question, Liz, if I may.
Yes.
So I just want to make one point, and that's, sometimes during the budget process, and you will see yourself next year, we cut things, but they are basically needed for the operations, right? So it's not a true cut; it's just kind of an optics, and I
Yes.
really would like us not to do that, frankly. So, when we do cuts, we should be doing true cuts. Sometimes maybe the strategic cuts are more bigger and more important than something like postage, which is very basic. And my other point is, and I know it was discussed in the past, but perhaps there is a way for us to digitize some of it, or have some more like give people the choice. They can receive it electronically or they can still receive it by physical mail, but start really moving away from this because it's also very laborious process, time consuming, etc. So that would be my comments on this particular item. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Actually, in my memo, it does state that I am fully aware that this is something that there are options that we need to be actually implementing, not exploring. We're done exploring. We know that there are improvements that can be made. We have the technology. We've been provided that. We're just not implementing it. So that is my
Okay.
job to make sure that the departments understand that I will not be accepting any reserve fund transfers. I will not be asking you. It will not, that is a done deal. We are not doing this anymore. So I'm not going to be asking for money about these little things. We need to be focusing on the really important things, and having our time spent on discussions about the important things, not postage.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I will be looking at this and my staff is fully aware that we will be implementing those improvements. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Rich, this is Anne, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
I have a specific question to this request, and then I have a more general question. I think I'm gonna start with the more general question, if that's okay. I know that we go through these one at a time, and often we vote one at a time. And I guess my concern is that the total amount requested from the reserve transfer fund is almost 139,000. It's 100 less. And we have 150,000 in the fund, and that would leave us with about just over 10,000 for any unanticipated expenses that might come up, and we're just halfway through the year. So I'm just a little anxious about wiping out this fund. I know that some things can be covered by year-end departmental transfers, and I'm just wondering, I mean, I know we want to budget more realistically, and I get that, but I think if we have an unanticipated expense of say 50,000 or 25,000, we won't have then, and it's not something that is related to any particular budget line, we'll have no money. So unless I misunderstand how these processes work. So
Maybe we want to ask Liz what her what her plan moving forward will be should something like this arise.
Or
Well, it
again,
just, I'm sorry.
oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Anne.
oh, it just, Michelle had her hand up as well, so I just didn't know if Michelle had a related question or was following up, so.
No,
Okay.
I agree with you, Ann, because that's
Okay.
what was striking to me. I actually reworked the figures and I go, wait a minute, we're wiping out our reserve right now. So I'd like to hear how we're going to handle it from January to June, because something will come up. And I agree with Melina. I mean, my familiarity with the town budget process up to this point is as a taxpayer, I get frustrated when the optics kick in and we cut a budget line, but then only restore it later down. Now I could see if we get a windfall or something like that and we can restore, that's fine. I agree with Liz. I said, nickel and diming on it on postage. Every public entity is having trouble with postage. Even where I work, before we post a letter, we go, do we really have to do this? And it's getting down to that. It's getting so prohibitively expensive. We're looking at DocuSign, things like that. So I'm interested to hear what Liz has to say about using the bulk of our reserve. So in mid-year, thank you.
Yeah, so well, I think the conversation needs to be actually focused more on the larger ticket items, the
Oh, yeah.
three
Mhm.
that are the bulk of the requests. The tax title litigation is ongoing. I did provide you a list of the properties that have been ongoing for a while now. And this is to fund the required litigation for the land court. So, and you have a balance of outstanding taxes that are overdue to be recovered. So there is a need for it, and also, as you can see, a return of value of it is exceeding the expenditures. So there is, I see, a value to continuing that effort to recover the non-payment of taxes for this. So,
And Elise, I have a question on that
yes.
particular, and thank you for again providing all the backup there. It's really helpful to see that. And I don't know if you have the answer for me today, but definitely maybe in the future. I would like to know what is the trend with those the amounts that we haven't collected. I mean, is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Or do we know how many people are actually delinquent compared to, let's say, a few years ago?
I don't have the comparison from the past few years. I do know that obviously, if you've been active or in observing or hearing on certain properties, the Stonegate property has a significant number of people involved and therefore takes up a significant time. And it's been ongoing for many years. There is, I believe they've reduced it down to 106 shareholders or
Didn't realize.
whatever the time shareholders, and they are recovering. It takes a long time for that. What I can say is that if the existing time shareholder is no longer alive, then they have to go to the next of kin or the next associated with that individual. And these people can be anywhere in the country or even out of the country. So they have to identify and actually reach out to people. And if they have to start over the process, it begins the time clock again. So every time that they reinstitute an outreach, it elongates it another 60 days before they can take any action. So when you have 160 people associated with one property, which was narrowed down from 600 and some, it is a very lengthy process. So that is one example of something that has continued, and I believe is in the number of people associated with the tax title litigation, Milena. So I think I answered your question. I don't have the
No,
answer
but I think
100%.
my question is, and I hear your your comment here, but I saw names there that are individuals that I happen to know, and substantial
Yeah.
amounts of um, uh, tax funds are being owed here. And so my question is, it's a pretty substantial number, and obviously we are looking for everything we can get our
Yep.
hands on. And the question is this number getting bigger, or is it getting low? Is it less these days, or is it more? And that's all what I'm really asking. Yeah.
Right. So we can't go into actual tax title or any type of litigation until it has been overdue for, I believe, 2 fiscal years. So we are obligated. So if somebody pays it in a year and a half after it's been due, then it doesn't go into litigation. So these are significantly overdue.
Right.
So they're um I I really don't know if the number is getting smaller or bigger, but it is something that I can ask for information and we
Yeah,
can
if you
supply
could, that
it
would be
for the
helpful. Yeah.
following meeting. Yes, I can work
Great,
on,
thank you. Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
I
that's
can
all what
get
I
that
need
for
to
you.
know. I want to see the
Okay,
trend, whether, we are collecting, or more people are defaulting, or what is happening here. That's all.
sure,
Thank you.
sure.
And again, Liz, I just wonder, to your point, maybe we should go to the next two requests, which are actually the largest. Just,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so the next one is coming directly from me. As you can see, I included the little section from my town manager's report from the last meeting on December 1st, where I notified the board that I would be requesting this from you for consideration. So in my time that I've been here, and now I am in the middle of my 7th week, so I've been here almost 2 months. And from my experience with procurement, which has been quite extensive, um, I have seen some practices that I am not 100% certain that what I'm seeing. And to be honest, I've taken an exorbitant amount of my time to try to decipher uh, questions, and I'm not seeking answers with the information that has been made at least internally available or accessible. It requires a lot deeper dive, and it requires somebody who also can dedicate the time and has the knowledge for understanding kind of what is going on, if there's best practices that we are not doing, making recommendations, and then notifying me if there is any areas that we need elevated to be considered at a different in a different conversation. So this is just a placeholder. Ally and I have met with a independent third party, not our auditor. We were recommended by our auditor of somebody that has more specialized skill set for procurement audits, because it is so detailed and nuanced. That so we met with the company a couple of weeks ago. We are anticipating an actual at cost estimate in the next day or so. I apologize that it wasn't ready for this evening, but their office had some staff on vacation and things that the estimators were not available to provide that for us for tonight. So this is just a placeholder, but we were told that it could be anywhere between 30 to 50,000 for the actual audit.
So just to clarify, we don't really know yet the actual cost, but this is an ask for the high end so that it doesn't slow the process down once you get an estimate from the company.
That's correct, Rich. Thank you.
I have a question, Liz. So, I mean, when you mentioned that there were some instances where you obviously got concerned or didn't feel comfortable with how the process was working, was your concern that the process was not efficient operationally, or was your concern that there was something going on that would have some financial impact? That maybe there was not someone was getting awarded a bid that they were not the best bid in terms of the interest of the town. So that's what I wanted to ask. And my other question was this brought up in an audit, in our last audit? Was this an audit point?
There was, so I'll answer your last question
Mhm.
first. It was brought up in past audits. When I talked to our auditor, he had mentioned that there was recommendations he noted areas of possible bid splitting, and warned the town in the last probably 2 years, that there were examples that he's identified occurring of bid splitting. Now, this came up in our discussion because I too have identified such action. And I am not going to be signing contracts. I'm not approving anything that puts myself or Ally in a situation where we create a vulnerability for the town when it comes to procurement. And I know enough procurement that that I am making this recommendation, and I'm very strong about this recommendation to support it. I am concerned, and I need somebody to guide us appropriately that is not associated with the town.
And could you just explain what you mean by bid splitting?
Okay, so I will give you some examples that I am asking the auditor to examine, because I have identified there are certain change orders or contracts that have been signed not by a town manager, who is the only one who's been authorized.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Things like that, where I need to have somebody who is from the outside to verify if that is okay or not. And change orders to projects over a length of time that has me that I might not be familiar with the process of that level of a contract, if it is acceptable or not over time, if it triggers going out to bid again, or if it is okay to be paired up with an existing work. So these are things that, again, I had some concerns. I reviewed it with our auditor, and he agreed with me that a larger scale, more forensic style audit is necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will just to review or for final understanding, the purpose of this audit is to improve the processes of the town to make them as
Yes.
clean and appropriate and legal as possible. There may be a number of future improvements to our bottom line from better processes and better procedures. And so this is an establishing working rules that are only going to benefit us as we go
Correct.
forward in the years. That's the way I see it, and you see it that way as well. Thank you very much, Liz.
Yes, thank you.
Can I just ask Liz a question? So this is like a consulting, right? A consultant that comes in that's very specific.
Yes.
You just mentioned you've been on the job for 7.5 weeks.
Yep.
Bless you. Would it be helpful for you to wait even a little bit longer, or do you feel that this is
Nope.
critical, that
I
you have to get this done?
I have to get it done because it is, I don't want my apprehension to paralyze the efforts or the work of the community moving forward. So some of these contracts are on my desk and I need to have a comfort level that it is acceptable practice of what I'm not used to seeing, but also other things that in preparation, Madonna, in case there is an a financial matter that requires a funding source to um, for possible unpaid bills of some sort or unpaid contracts or that they were done incorrectly. We need to have that a plan. I need to have a plan in place before town meeting. Um, and I need to know the financial implications before town meeting.
Okay, well, wow. Thank
So
you.
as far as the time frame for such a deep dive fiscal audit, what is your expected time frame for completion?
Sure. The project or the auditor has confirmed he is available to begin at the end of January, early February, and it would take approximately 3 to 4 weeks. So then to give me the report, they would be ready early mid-March. So then before town meeting, so before we make any final budget votes, before the warrants due. So that audit and the results and any actions that are required afterwards, if there are any actions that are necessary, we have kind of a timeline and an understanding of what is needing to be done.
Liz, I just want to ask you one other question. So, what is the scope of this project? So, you are expecting the person to take a look at every contract that's outstanding there, or
No, hold on.
what are you asking for here?
Sure. Hold on just a second. Let me bring that up. Thank you for asking. Okay, so there's some internal controls, authority assessment, evaluating the written procurement policies, approval authorities, contract signature limits, and delegation practices. So if the town manager has delegated it to somebody else to be able to sign on change orders or things, those are practices that I have not experienced in the communities I've worked for in the past. And this audit will examine those and evaluate it. They will test if the actual behaviors align with policies as well as legal requirements. Um, they will review the chain of authority controls, whether contracts or change orders were signed by individuals without legal authorization. The auditor will also select representative and risk-based samples from recent procurement activity and perform deep file reconstruction to evaluate if the project origination, funding authorization, and procurement pathway selection. They'll examine bid solicitation, postings, responses, scorings, and award processes. The audit will also examine the contract execution, any amendments, change orders, and cost escalations. They will document completeness and audit to trail integrity. Specific areas identified for forensic review will include, but are not limited to, contracts or change orders, instances where projects costs increased 25% or more above the original contract value, possible bid splitting to stay under procurement thresholds, and a scope of expansion of enveloping or layering additional work into contracts without appropriate approvals or competitive process.
Great.
They are going to be testing
Yeah.
compliance with all of the procurement laws. And then they're also going to be providing a risk analysis across patterns between various departments to identify if there is recurring deviations or weaknesses being identified.
Okay. I think that answers my question. Thank
Yep,
you.
Yeah, it's
it's going
quite
to be
deep.
pretty, it's going to be
Yeah.
pretty deep.
It's a very detailed audit. Yeah, I can.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liz,
Madonna has her hand up. Yep.
can I just ask, do you feel, you don't have to obviously get into specifics, but do you feel it's systemic throughout our town? Or does it seem like there are some departments that are you're focused on more than the others?
Well, there's not that many departments that do procurement, so it is, they all do a little bit here and there, but it's not anything. They'll probably focus. The auditor will probably focus on the larger projects that is more specifically the ones that I've identified already, that have thrown some red flags or question marks up in the air, above my head. So. Yeah, so I think that's really, they'll focus on a couple and then just identify some other patterns that may be occurring from other departments as well, if there is any.
Well, thank you.
Do we have any
Rich?
more
Yeah, Rich,
questions?
can I ask some questions?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess I want to sort of maybe go back to the bigger picture of all the requests combined in as a
Yeah.
total. And I mean, this procurement audit, which you came in and discovered it was really necessary, seems to fit a lot under the reserve fund purpose, right? An unanticipated expense that's not small.
Yeah.
I guess, and the Housatonic water legal fees, it was always hard to know exactly how much they were going to cost. But I guess I just want to go back to the tax title litigation and,
Yeah.
we always know that we're litigating tax titles and this isn't new. And I'm just wondering if this is a place, and Ally, and I apologize that I feel like I'm forgetting this. I mean, at the end of the year, we can look at budget lines that are underused and move funds around to help with expenses. And there is a budget line for this.
Yes.
So I guess I'm wondering why the tax title litigation can't be something where we look at budget lines that are underspent and use that to help with the litigation. And I guess I feel a little like that might be in the postage realm too, because that's also a budget line. And again, I'm looking at the 5,000 for HR training, which I think is also again a good idea. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't currently have an HR person in place. Is that correct? Or have we hired someone?
So the training actually is not for HR. The training is
Oh.
for departments where their training budgets were slashed.
Yeah.
And we have new employees that actually need to get certified, which requires actually a more extensive, higher value training.
Okay.
For
Okay.
example, the assessors, that happened during this current fiscal year, so it was not anticipated before the fiscal year
I
came
see.
into play that we were going to have to get a new assessor trained completely with the certification. So that's
Right.
one example.
Right. But I guess I'm thinking about the requests. And again, I'm trying to think of, not sending us into January with only $10,000 left in the reserve fund if something were to come up. If there are requests that are related to existing budget lines, is there another way we can manage this, which we have managed, again, unless I misunderstand how we use this?
Can I just pop in for just a second?
Yeah.
I just wanted to remind you that part of the tax title issue is that in previous years, we've raised that on the tax recap. We weren't able to do that this year. It's been pretty consistently 25,000, but because we didn't have that excess levy capacity, we really shrunk that down as much as we could.
Right.
So just wanted to point that out, that this,
Yeah.
that's
I
part
did
of the
look that up.
reason.
I mean, we shrunk it down to 15,000, I think, isn't that right? Or isn't that what's in the current budget?
Right, but then on the tax recap, we're also allowed to raise taxes to cover tax title processes. And we typically have done 25,000 every year for that reason, to supplement the general fund budget. And this past year, we did not put it on the tax recap because our excess levy capacity was so shrunken that we had to be very, very careful and not put things in there that could potentially put us over.
We
Okay.
had a very difficult
No,
year
yeah,
last
I
year
know.
because
Yeah.
we hit the wall of Proposition 2.5, and then that made us go into the budget and cut things more than we probably ought to have cut, but we wanted to still have some free cash reserves and not have a problem somewhere else. I think I'm stating that correctly, right, Ally?
Yes.
I think that's correct. So it's a little bit like with the learning process of what happens when we have a budget that's a little too slim. Um, but anyway, it is a good question to know for the future. We're going to have to take money from some line somewhere because we're not going to have any money in the reserve fund. And that goes back to our questions to Liz, if, how's she going to handle this particular scenario?
And
I
Melina,
also
did you?
Yeah, I just would like to add something. And I mean, I hear Anne's concern, but I would just say this. The tax litigation, if anything, it's something that's going to bring money in. So, I mean, to me, I don't really think we should be, being too concerned about that. The other issue is the one that I mentioned before. Things were cut, but they still have to happen. So we don't have way around it really. And I would say if we are gonna use up the reserve fund, which it looks like that we may, then maybe other things will just not be happening afterwards. And that's kind of what it is, because we have limited resources, and that's what it will come to. But we cannot say, the postage, they cut it and now they have bills to pay, and the mail still has to go out. There is no other way. So these are certain things that we can, maybe some of them we could delay, but some of them we cannot delay. And it's I don't think it really matters how they are going to get funded. They just have to be funded. It's going to come from this pocket or it will come from another pocket later on. So I would very much hope that, especially the tax litigation, we don't even think twice about it, because that has to happen, and it's a very important effort for the town, and hopefully will bring some additional financial resources in.
Oh,
So-
yeah. I mean, Melena, I just want to respond to you. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, right. It's something that pays for itself in the long run when we get the money. Doesn't go into the exact line. I guess what I'm struggling with is, so when one budget is underused and another is overspent, you can't do anything about that until the end of the year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, but there are budgets that go over.
There will be budgets.
year.
I don't think there will be budgets under, frankly, this year, because that we know what we went through last year for
Yeah.
the budget, not to get over that levy, and we know it. And if anything, there is inflation is still around. We are dealing with a very, very difficult, economic environment. I don't think there's going to be money left anywhere. I really don't. I think
Yeah,
That
and
makes me even more nervous.
we did suspect that, and that's part of if my memory serves me right, the reserve fund transfer was increased for this
That's
reason.
for exactly that reason.
That we might,
Exactly. So
come
that
up-
will more
yeah,
cushion. Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So
because
Michelle
cut it
has
down to
had
the
her
bone.
hand up
Yeah.
for some time. Michelle, were you wanting to talk about this particular issue further?
Well, just overall, first off, on the tax litigation, if we approve the money coming out of reserve, I want evidence later on that we got our money back. Because I've been hearing this tax taking for a long time, especially on the Stonegate, as long as I can remember. And again, I'm not comfortable at all with draining our reserve. I'm not comfortable at all hearing we cut the budget, but now we're putting it back. I think the town of Great Barrington has to start operating like its taxpayers do, living within their means. And we're not. I'm fully on board with the procurement audit. Otherwise, our town manager's hands are tied. If you see a red flag, it's her due diligence to address it. And if this is the way it has to be addressed, I'm on board with it. But we're going into the budget season. If we're going to spend hours and hours and hours and then reducing a budget line only to come back and put the money back through our reserve, I'm really uncomfortable with that. We have too many taxpayers. I was talking to one tonight before I even got here saying she doesn't know what she's going to do. Her taxes have gone over $5,000, but she's got to live within her means. So it's time for the town of Great Barrington to live within our means here. As far as training goes, that isn't a lot of money for training.
Yeah, no.
When you look at it, I've had experience in this, and it just gives you more effective employees. So I'm not saying what is coming forward isn't valuable or credible or whatever. But I'm saying when we go into this other budget season, every time we vote on something, in my head, I'm going to ask myself, are we just going to put it back later on? So this is something I'm not comfortable with at all, but I understand it. And obviously, I think one of the factors is that Liz is giving, and Ally is giving such a clear, open and transparent reasoning for all the requests going on. But we have to start living with it. I mean, we talk about the town of Great Barrington and inflation and that sort of thing. Well, you don't think your taxpayers are going through the same thing? So I think we have a duty to go on, maybe not this year, we're not going to do it and not put it back. And that's what I'm going to say on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We have one more large item that you brought to us, Liz. Did we want to address Housatonic Waterworks legal?
Yes, if you want, it is a this is not a typical. So what is interesting is that this is not a standard legal operating expense. This is a special project that has been identified as a priority by the community, obviously, but it shouldn't actually fall within the standard operating legal expenses that are dedicated for typical legal assistance throughout the year, whether it be for union, grievances, any of the other actual operating expenditures. And the legal budget as it sits is specifically just for operating, not for special identified projects. Therefore, Ally and I actually split out the Housatonic water legal fees from the general balance of operating expenditures in the ledger. So you can actually see the true cost of litigation for this one particular project. It is very important, especially also for any types of analysis of costs associated with these projects, that then it is already identified that this is how much we have already invested in this project just on legal bills for one particular fiscal year. So that is why we have identified and teased out the Housatonic Waterworks item. And so this request is to replenish the general budget that was originally taken into Housatonic. Okay, so we're going to shift it back into the general, and then we have done a cost estimate for the remaining balance of the fiscal year and did an estimate of I believe it was 26,000 is what we were estimating of additional costs. Now I'm also
2014.
Yes, and I'm putting in precautionary measures now as well. I mentioned that in my memo. that in order for me not to come back to you, and we're not tapping into the last part of the reserve fund, is that I will be very diligent about watching the expenditures, and that if we hit our limit, then we're done. Like with anything, even with postage, even with anything, we're done for the rest of the year. And I've already warned all the department heads that we are actually in our budget, our department head meetings that we have every other week. Allie and I are reminding them, do not tell us 2, 3 months before the fiscal year that you are out of money. That's too late for us. So you need to watch your budgets, and we have been on them like a hawk. So they are fully aware that I am not coming back to you. I'm not going to be put in this very embarrassing time to ask for more money. So thank you.
Liz, I have a question about the Housatonic legal fees. And, it is a fairly complex situation, obviously.
Yeah.
And lawyers can spend a lot of time on that. And so thank you for, putting some real numbers there. So I think that's helpful for everybody. But are we saying that this is all that's going to be spent in terms of legal fees, or this is just the first stage, having that legal discovery, and then there's going to be more fees as we decide to proceed further?
Yeah, I can't say that it is going to stop after
Okay.
this. So that is a decision that the select board needs to make a decision on whether to continue or stop. But so all I can tell you is that from the expenditures to
For
date.
this year. This is this year.
Exactly, to
Yeah.
date,
Okay.
and for me to feel comfortable in monitoring the dependency on legal, just being a little bit more cautious of reaching out to them and making sure that we do internal questioning and research
Right,
before
exactly.
reaching
Yeah.
out, or involving them in sitting in meetings for long periods of time.
Right.
If that can save us a couple $100 per hour, then we can use that money to another time when we actually really, really need
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
those are the things that are very simple, just like Michelle said, that, just like our normal everyday balancing the budget of our own personal, we need to do that internally
Yeah.
with municipal budgets. And that's what I'm doing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have covered all of the reserve fund transfer requests. So at this point, I think I would want to see if there were any other questions from anyone or any of the attendees. I don't see any hands up from the attendees. So I feel comfortable going forward asking for votes on these. My inclination
Oh,
is to
Rich,
vote.
a hand did get raised, sorry.
Ms. Mooney, do you have a question at this point before we start taking motions and voting? Eileen Mooney.
I think I have to hit something, I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, there you are. Hi.
I was busily talking. Does the agreement for an audit have to go out to bid? It's over, what is it, 10,000?
Yes, no, for audits, it is exempt
Oh,
from procurement.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Eileen. So my gut feeling would be to take one motion on all of the reserve fund transfer requests, but I wanted to ask all of the committee members if they are comfortable with that or if they want to break them out.
I've put them all in one spreadsheet that I just shared.
I meant when we make a motion to
Vote.
on all of them, my tendency would be to vote on all of them as a package. But I have heard some comments from some of our committee members that they may not want to approve all of them. So do I have anyone who is uncomfortable with a motion to approve all of it? I'm not. Go ahead, Madonna.
I think that we should, we could do one motion, but we really should break it into every line item because it's also goes for on public record. So it's very clear and we want to make sure we're very clear that we're just not saying, oh, we'll, one big one. It should be broken down.
Very good. Thank you,
Rick,
Madonna.
Do you want me to make a motion? I'm happy to.
No, I'll go right ahead.
Okay, okay.
So I'm going to break them down. So I make a motion that we approve the reserve fund transfer requests for $8,000 for postage. Do I have a second?
Second,
Madonna?
I no, I don't think you're understanding what I was saying. I just wanted to make sure that it was broken down on each
Within
and
the
every,
motion, yeah, yeah.
so that the
So
mo-
I could just, so I'll withdraw the motion and I should just make a motion that I'm making a motion for us to approve the reserve fund transfer requests of $8,000 for postage, 25,900 for tax title litigation, $50,000 for the procurement audit, $50,000 for Housatonic Waterworks legal fees,
correct.
$5,000 for human resources, travel and training, and $1,638 for workers' comp insurance.
well, so Rich, that's the
a different
wastewater
one.
budget? The 1,000,
I'm sorry,
That's
you're
that's
very
the general
correct.
fund. That it's not included in this one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do I have to go through all of it again or just remove the 1,635? To make it clear, let's just be accurate. Okay, I'm making one motion for four reserve fund transfer requests. One for $8,000 for postage, one for $25,900 for tax title litigation, one for $50,000 for a procurement audit, and one for $50,000 for Housatonic Waterworks legal fees. Do I have a second?
Are
Second,
not doing the 5,000 for staff training certifications?
Yeah.
Somebody
And
comment?
$5,000 for human resources travel training.
Okay, and
So those
that,
are five reserve fund transfer requests. Is that motion clear enough for everyone? Do I have a second?
Yes.
Do I have
second,
a second?
It's
Great.
clear. It's clear.
Okay, so Madonna,
this is for the $138,900, correct?
correct.
Correct.
all together, yes, correct. Madonna.
Aye.
Milena,
aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye,
and Richard is an aye. So we did have two transfer requests for the wastewater from the wastewater superintendent for workers' comp insurance for $1,638 and for repairs and maintenance of $25,739. Now, I read the justification for the repair request. It was quite extensive and clear, as well as for the $1,638, which was just something that they needed to fill the last gap. Does anyone else have any other questions or concerns about those two wastewater transfer reserve fund transfer requests?
It seems if we don't do it, it could get a lot more expensive.
Yes, it seems like it's very needed for the repairs and maintenance. So I make a motion that we approve the two transfer requests in wastewater of $1,638 for workers' comp insurance and $25,739.30 for repairs and maintenance. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So, Madonna, do you have a vote, Madonna?
Aye, absolutely.
Milena,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye,
Michelle,
Aye.
and Rich is an aye, so that is funded. So thank you all for that extended reserve fund transfer discussion. Very informative.
And can I
So-
just, so are these going to be put out in the town clerk's office for us to come in and sign at some point?
Liz, do you know the answer to that?
Or
We can have
Ally?
it there or in my office. Yeah.
Let's have it in your office if that
Okay.
would be easier for us, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't be back in town until Thursday.
And
just-
how many signatures do you need, Liz?
I need at least 3 as a
Oh.
quorum.
Oh, okay.
All right. And
I will
just remember,
definitely be able to drop by and do it first thing in the
Okay.
morning.
Okay.
if 3 signatures are enough, that's great because
Yep.
my hours are the same as the town hall hours. But I can leave work if I have to. and come
No,
down.
I think that
I'll
we
let you-
can do it without you, Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Once I hit 3 signatures, I'll send an email out.
Oh,
Oh, that'd
Okay.
be great. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Um,
everyone.
Liz, will they be ready for signature between 9 and 10 tomorrow?
They will be ready at whenever the meeting is done tonight.
Okay, thank you so much.
And you can see I'm still at work. So,
No, I
yeah.
know. You're wonderful. We own you, yes. Next line item for new budget submission process and webpage is coming from Liz. So Liz, can you talk to us about this new submission process?
Yeah, it's a
Sorry,
lot.
can I also ask for the ask and to put it on the screen?
Yeah,
because
so
there's lots
is
of
that,
dates
that's,
there?
yeah, I'll do it right now. I was
Yeah,
just gonna
okay,
ask.
thank
Yep.
you.
So that's the first material in the packet, correct? Or which,
Yeah.
what, yeah, well, which part should I, what?
Was that
think it
part
was
of,
the-
If you just the
Agenda
calendar
item
with the
number
dates.
5, right? Yep, got
Yeah,
it.
we have
Yeah.
all the dates there, so it would be helpful to have that there.
This here?
No,
yes,
there
that
is
was a part of her initial memo.
there's
Okay.
no,
for us.
there's a calendar there was detailed dates.
Oh,
I think that's
okay.
really important. Yeah, that would be helpful to have.
The budget action calendar?
Yes.
Are we
Yeah.
talking about that? I don't know that we're talking
That's
about that.
what it is. It's kind of, it is part
Part of it.
of
Okay,
the budget submission, but yeah, this right here, Anne,
Yep,
thank you.
yeah,
That's
okay, got it.
that's-
Sorry about that.
So
Yeah.
Milena, we'll get into the budget calendar next. It is in tandem with it.
You're
So
right. That's part of it. Yeah.
yes, yes. So it is split up on the agenda, but
Oh, I see.
because
I didn't
think
realize that.
no,
Okay.
which is fine. I
Okay.
think Rich wanted to really dedicate focus on the budget calendar because it is quite detailed, whereas this is kind of do a 30,000-foot level synopsis.
yeah,
Right.
right.
So as you can see, for anyone that has been involved in the budget process prior to me arriving, it is definitely different this year. It is more involved. The department heads are being asked quite a bit more information, similar to what you've already experienced with my submissions to you. They will be asking, being required to submit quite an extensive, detailed amount of analysis and explanation, justification, as well as they will be required, as I mentioned at our last meeting with you, that they will be required to identify funding sources. It is not for me to decide where it's going to be paid for. So if they need to elevate fees, they need to put in recommended fee structures, accessing grant money. Anything is going to be included. You will have access to all of the budget submissions with budget narratives for each operating as well as capital expenditure request. The capital expenditures will also be collected for a 5-year period so we can build the capital improvement plan. And then you can kind of also see what is forecasted or necessary and identified for the future. So the staff is submitting these budgets to me through an online portal. So, Milena, I'm already making changes to reduce costs in paper.
Excellent. Yeah.
So things like that, I'm using technology as we discussed. We have tools available and we're gonna use them. So So those forms are now going to be able to be PDF'd and emailed or put into a database for you to access, and have all of the backup material, any quotes, photographs. Also, it's going to identify the alignment from the select board's priorities and identified goals. So they have to be able to be aligned with the areas of focus. So you can see that it is just not something a department head thinks that they want. It's what the community actually needs. So we can start really making sure the department heads are very thoughtful in their requests and making them just again have that second thought before they hit the submit button. Is this really truly what we need versus what we would just like to have? So you will get a lot more information, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah, so Rich, I don't know if you want me to like show the examples because you and I had some time earlier last week I showed you some examples of what it looks like from the back end of things. But again, also personnel requests. Thank you, Anne, for scrolling down the personnel and reminding me. Personnel requests also, any changes in personnel, any new personnel, or that all will be incorporated into this budget season proposal. So they will have one time a year to make those types of requests and identifying funding for these initiatives.
Liz, would it
So-
be okay if I clicked on one of the links just to look at that?
Yeah, I think you can. Go right ahead and try it out. It may require you to fill it out
No, it's right there.
Nice, okay.
because
alright.
there are pages.
Yeah, I see
But this
that, yeah,
is, but as you'll see, so Anne, if you scroll down just a little bit, so you will see initially right here, this is a good example of what I mean by prioritizing. They are going to have to provide me and you that they are ranking this project, one submission per project, and they will have to identify if this is 1 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 or whatever the number is. And so then the division does their ranking. So I'm going to use like DPW as an example because they have a lot of divisions and also tiered down into programs. So the highway division is a division of the Department of Public Works. So Steve, who is the head of highway, will have his own ranking, and then Joe will have to actually go in and weigh it out with all of his departments, I mean, all of his divisions, and say that Brian in facilities, his projects that he's proposing is ranked number 3 and number 7 out of the total number of DPW, but Steve's in highway is ranks 1 through whatever. So you can see how Joe is thinking, and then I will be able to see that as well. The next step in this process is for capital items is that once they are submitted to me, and this is again a very new process for everybody, but the department heads will be then on the 26th, I think, or the 29th of January. I am having all department heads meet with me for a full day workshop where we are going to be reviewing every single capital request item. And then all department heads, and so library will be looking at capital requests by DPW versus police versus fire. All department heads will be looking at all of the capital requests, and they will be ranking them as to what they feel is important. And then that ranking will come to me, and I will be using that kind of as a metric for basing my recommendations for you and the select board to consider. So it is a much more involved, much more team-oriented process, and you will be part of that process when it gets elevated to you guys. Okay?
May I just ask a few questions? Um, when you are getting to all of the various departments together, I suppose it will be a learning experience for everyone to view all of the projects in town in a macrocosm to try to see where their budget might fit into the whole.
Yep.
But do you anticipate that some departments might be viewed differently from the majority of departments, but they still have an important role in the town? I'm not sure. I mean, you're not leaving it up to all of them to make the final decision,
No,
but you
no,
want to
not at
see
all.
you want to see what their
Mhm.
view on everything is.
Yeah, it also is very important for us as a team to actually see what is identified by each department as needed. It also is a mechanism for discussions to occur internally about, oh, you're planning a sidewalk in this village or this area on this street. Did you know that we're actually doing a plan for so Chris can be talking to Joe, who's identified a sidewalk, or their street lights are going to be upgraded, or any types of improvements that are a capital needs. Oh, you have a vehicle that you need? Well, I actually have a hand-me-down that's going to be coming up. Like maybe you want that, and we can pull that off. So people are going to have an opportunity to talk about it and actually see what everybody is proposing, and we can work together on finding outlining the timeline, but also possibly finding other resources that we might not have to then wait or put it into a actual capital budget request that goes before town meeting.
Yeah, Liz, I really want to thank you for implementing this kind of a process here. We actually did have a conversation, Rich and I, some time ago, and we're kind of asking the interim town manager, because that was definitely lacking here. This kind of a strategic approach to this whole thing. Everything was extremely tactical, just looking for what's going to happen this year. What am I going to do? Da, da, da. How is it going to come up together? How is it going to align with the bigger strategy for this town and community? That was not there at all. So really kudos to you for bringing it here, and hopefully you will get it done, and people will support the process, and we will all benefit from it. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. And I definitely did not want to wait one budget season to implement this. I feel it is extremely important to be organized as well as setting expectations from the get-go as to what professional municipal level services are expected in today's world. In the Ally jokes and laughs every time I say this, but we're entering the second quarter of the 21st century. So it is time for expectations for us to really step it up. And so this will help train everybody on how to prepare for the next fiscal year, what is expected, how to do your due diligence and really doing your research, talking to people, because this is what Liz is expecting us to be doing at that high level of performance. And then you have that expectation. You have that expectation. You've already discussed that you wanted it. So so we're just gonna get it going right away, Milena.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So the 5-year plan is just warms my heart. I have not seen us have such a real robust look at the future. And I've always seen us sort of struggling with the present budget, and I'm very much in favor of that work towards a 5-year goal.
Well, my goal is actually to create maybe a 10 or 20-year plan because we know when windows and roofs need to be done, maintenance plans, things like that, playgrounds need to be replaced. Those are things that really should be built in when vehicles are expected in year 7 or 8. Those are things beyond the 5 years that can get lost if we don't have it documented. So this is the
Great.
first step, but this is enough steps for the department heads to start getting assimilated into this new process. Thank you.
Beautiful. Any other questions from any committee members about this particular process? Then I think we ought to move on to, we are not going to do item 6 because there is several of you were rightly saying there just is not enough time for us to review budget reports for November in a timely manner. So you have received them from Ally, and it's would be very good for you to review what you see, but we will have a more detailed discussion on November's and December's when we meet again in January. I did include several of the pages culled from the 200-page wonderful report regarding the November bond. So I think I found the right pages, and I
You
just
did.
wanted to thank you, Milena.
You
Thank
absolutely
you.
did.
I feel
That
so much
it was
better.
actually it was really nice to read through it myself.
Good, good, good.
Very,
So,
very appreciative.
Ally, could you help all of us just sort of give us a little bit of an overview of what I called or what you think is most important for us to know?
So you're looking at the summary of terms. We got a really great rate, as you can see.
I see that you're doing really good there. You
Yep.
are issuing it a premium, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
we're really happy with that. So we were fortunate to get a good rate there. Let's see, in the summary, really, this is all just mathematics to show you how it's broken down, how it's amortized out.
Can I just ask you something about this math? Because your average life is 7.5, and whatever the last part of the issue is maturing in 2040. So are you gonna basically is most of it just front loaded?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we pay a more on the front end, like you said.
Front end, yeah, front loaded. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, to try to keep the interest lower. So if
Yeah,
you pay the principal faster, you pay less in interest overall.
right. You have a lower cost,
Mhm.
debt cost. And my other question is, so we are really basically this year, we are coming with total debt service of 6.8 million, which is nearly $7 million. And what do we have outstanding? Just to get some idea of what is outstanding as on top of this. This is new
Oh.
issuance. What is the outstanding that we have from the previous years?
I actually don't have that with me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. So you can just like let me know. Would you know ballpark number, Ali, like roughly?
Honestly, I haven't looked at it yet at this
Okay.
point as far as year-end processing. Let's see.
But do we have a general idea of how much the debt service for
What is
our
outstanding there?
27 budget will be increased?
Well, you just voted to try to keep a maximum bond borrowing at 3.5
But the
million.
debts, well, but we just took out a bond for 5 million.
Mhm.
And the debt service for the current year, for the first year of it, for 27,
Mhm.
is how much is the actual service cost for the first year?
The actual service cost,
You would
that's
not
on
have
the
it.
debt service schedule.
We have to
So
look at the schedule.
yeah,
Is
so
that
it would
I'm
be,
looking at the
he
debt
has-
serve. I'm trying to understand it. So
Yeah.
is it 117,
yes,
104? And
yes. So
that is for the balance of the year because we don't have a full year. Is that what we're looking
correct.
at?
So with bonds, you have two payments. You have one principal and interest and one interest only.
Correct,
The
correct.
way that we put it in our schedule is so that we do the borrowing in November, the permanent borrowing in November, so that we have one interest only payment due, and then we do the temporary borrowing in June, The following November, we pay off that temporary debt, and that's kind of our cycle.
Right.
S- So, oh, I'm sorry. So you are paying interest only when on this issue?
So for full time, I'm sorry, for the permanent borrowings,
Yes,
we're going to pay an interest payment in 6 months.
in
So
6 months.
May.
So that's what, yeah, okay. And
Mhm.
that's interest only at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then on top of it, you will have whatever is outstanding from the previous issues. You will have
Correct.
both principal and interest there, but you don't know at this moment how much it is, right? You would have to tell us that.
Yeah.
You've,
Yeah.
Ally,
you
are
have
any of
your
these
numbers.
numbers helpful? This is in what's currently in the budget for the current year?
Well, that's the current amount
Right.
yes, that is what we budgeted for. That
Right.
is an estimate based on, I believe we estimated $7 million borrowing, and it actually came out at 5, which is
Okay.
great. So that would mean
Oh,
that there'd be
okay.
a little bit of money turned back. And
Okay.
we also were expecting a much higher interest rate. So that interest
Oh,
is not
okay.
going to be exhausted. So
Okay.
Right.
Great.
So would it be possible, Ali, to get back to us with those numbers? I think Rich's question is very, very real, which will give us an estimate at this point, what to expect, what is still outstanding that we owe, both in interest payments and principal, and then adding this new issuance on top of it, what are we going to be facing? And this is still ballpark and all that, but
And
I
it's
think
not needed right away. We just,
Well,
that's
but
the general question.
it will be part of the projected budget for debt payment and interest payments for the fiscal year 27 budget package. So
Yes.
we'll get it with the budget
we
package.
will get it, but
Right.
I'm interested in understanding at what point we are. If we are adding $7 million to our outstanding debt, I mean, to get a sense for what are we going to be expecting, right? This is,
Well, it's
yeah.
5 million something, right?
this current bond, yes, it's
Yeah.
5 million.
Right, but I see, Melanie, you're saying there's 2 million still
Yeah,
outstanding.
what we are saying is we have like the
There's
total
bonds from
total
every year.
debt
Right,
cost
yeah,
of
no, I
our
know.
debt
Yeah.
is the principal and interest. So we are saying right now we have created, 7 million that has to be covered over the next few years. And we also have whatever we have from the previous years. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get a sense for what it is we are rolling in front of us, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
So just
Although
ballpark figures are fine, yeah.
it was very interesting in the breakdown to see which projects were being included in this long-term bond. I'm
I-
going to go out on a limb here and say, Liz, do you anticipate that projects such as the ones that were included in this bond might typically be included in future bonds? I mean, things like police cruisers or certain various building improvements. You may
Yeah.
not be able to know at this point, but I'm just saying as a general rule.
As a general rule, I typically I'm not used to having vehicles bonded out.
Right,
We
it's true.
pay in communities that I've served in the past, we pay that with free cash.
Free cash, right?
So
you would expect that.
bonding is for larger items
Long capital
that
projects.
such as ambulances that may we don't have ambulances, we're not paying for them, but fire trucks and
Fire
things like
trucks,
that
right.
exactly. Or actual real large capital expenditures that don't qualify for other types of funding sources. So yeah, the smaller purchases, such as a vehicle, is not something that I typically feel comfortable in the bond, which I mentioned last night at the select board's meeting. That is, I'm going to be working very hard. It will be tight. It will be uncomfortable for like the first year or two. But we will get into that transitional habit of not leaning so much on bonding, capital items, but actually paying for it outright with free cash. and then putting in a certain percentage into the stabilization fund and reserve funds. So that way we have a little bit more of our umbrellas for the rainy day matters that will come up. So we're not caught off guard. Okay.
I think that it will be a large shift in our way of looking at things, because we've been so used to using free cash in other ways in Great Barrington, which I think we're not for capital improvements. So at this point, we've sort of used a lot of the free cash that we would normally have in reserve, and now we're sort of at a minimum reserve. So these are all big questions that you're going to have to help us understand how to negotiate a change in the way the field is played.
Yeah, Ally and
Right.
I are going to be looking at the debt schedule and seeing what drops off and then seeing what percentage we're comfortable with maybe adding so it slowly diminishes the amount of debt on the schedule.
Yeah.
There is good debt, but then there is bad debt. And we're at a point where we are hitting of the levy limit to uncomfortableness. And we cannot be in that situation where we cannot even think about borrowing for something that we couldn't be able to do it. So even if it was debt excluded, like it just gets too uncomfortable. And I don't want us ever in this position. So I will be working very hard to get us out and in a good system. And this is something, Rich, that I think you and I talked about. We'll be looking at the financial policies in the future when we have some time in the
Yeah.
summer and the fall, and actually getting updated policies and procedures so everybody knows what it is and where we're going to move forward to get us in line. Okay?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yep.
Madonna.
I just wanted to say that that's what I think we the townsfolk, the taxpayers lose sight of. That at a town meeting, when we start voting for things, and sometimes they're impassioned, someone will get up there and they desperately want the new plow or the new truck or whatever. And you think, okay, well, we can put that in this budget. But what we don't keep in mind, and I didn't really ever think about this, is that there's all these other years that, we're still borrowing. We've borrowed money and we have to pay it, these bonds, and we have to pay the interest. So we just keep adding and piling and piling and piling. And it really has become very uncomfortable. So I think the taxpayers that are saying, oh, my taxes are going up. Well, part of it is that we've had years that we're still paying. So I just think that that's a very important point that we need to get across to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have significantly reviewed that. I did have here a bullet point of discussion of school finance subcommittee meetings by attendees, and I did include some figures that were sent to me by Michelle for enrollment numbers for the schools. But other than that, the finance subcommittee meetings that were scheduled were canceled due to, I guess, the build up to the holidays. They didn't have a quorum. Am I speaking correctly, Michelle? Because you and I have been trying to attend those.
Michelle, you're muted.
Sorry, Michelle, I'm putting
That's
you on the
okay.
spot again.
I have a cat in the background who.
Oh, sorry.
Lucky you.
I know you sent me the figures for enrollment numbers, but because we didn't have any fiscal subcommittee meetings that we could attend this last month, I don't know how much discussion we want to have on it. What are your thoughts?
No, as was stated in the minutes of October 21st, the committee wanted enrollment numbers, and when I requested them, they weren't ready.
Right.
Working for a school myself, I know when they're ready and published. So I pulled them, and so you have
Thank
them.
you. We'll have them here, and if we want to put them back into another packet, we will do that again.
Exactly. But one point that was brought up at the last meeting we attended of the finance committee is out of control health insurance costs, which I'm sure
Yes.
is on everybody's radar. That's a huge impact on budgets this year.
And we may have that again
there's
for the
not a
town.
lot of wiggle room on how to work with that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we go into the budget season for the town of Great Barrington. So
Thank you. Any other comments from the committee members? I think we will table real discussion about that till next time. So on the upcoming meeting dates and the budget action calendar, these are two real, I mean, Liz is really going in, trying to do a full deep dive and everything. We're noticing all of the different rounds of budget presentations and warrant article presentations between February and March and early April. Liz, I know that this is a work in progress, but is there some point at which we might have some requests for which dates might not be best for a lot of people, or is it too complicated to do that as we normally get?
Sure. Anne, can you bring back the
Oh, sure. I'm
calendar?
sorry. I was just checking my
Oh,
calendar.
that's fine.
So, here we go. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
Okay.
so the ones highlighted in blue are the ones for FinCom and Select Board to go over the budgets. So February 3rd will be Ally and I presenting to both boards on the financial standings of where we are in FY26 and then forecasting projections for FY27 of what we can see and anticipate, and just give you kind of what we're expecting, the cherry sheets for the state if they're available, or the estimated numbers, things at the schools, or anything that is going to impact the budget. We will be presenting those items to you, and so you're aware as I am building the budget before I submit it on the 13th to you. So I have 10 days after my initial presentation, my teaser basically. I have 10 days to get the budget to you, and then we will begin 10 days after that. So that gives you 10 days to review the details submitted. We're going to do operating, which is kind of standard, as you know. You've seen it before. It's not really typically new. There's going to be slight changes here and there, shifts in budgets, so we can consolidate and possibly have some cost savings. So those will be the typical changes that we'll be discussing in the operating. But that's why we're having it first. And then in March, so it gives you more time, almost a full month, to review in the back end of things, the capital, which will be a lot more extensive. So March 3rd and 4th is the second round of budget presentations where the select board and you will be able to access myself and the department heads that are going to review the capital that is being recommended for FY27. So this again will give you guys a lot of time to look things over, collect questions, ask me questions in preparation so I can have and anticipate that I can have those ready, the answers at the time of the meetings. So those are the two big ones. And then on March 23rd will be the actual article presentations. And then also that can be a follow-up because it's a joint meeting, that you guys can, we can actually have any follow-ups on budget items that you have. So, and then you have another crack at it on the 14th of April, where we go over the articles once more and the budget, and that's when you actually have your budget hearing and you vote on the budget that will be presented in the warrant. So that's it in a nutshell. The ones in blue is really what is where I need you to focus on. Okay?
So, may I ask, then, am I understanding that as of Friday, February 13th, we'll have the full budget, the operating and capital starting then to
Yep.
review in detail
Yep. It
individually?
will be posted online. I'm creating a website, a web page on the town's website that's going to be involved with the timelines, with the budget calendar, with my memos, with guidance. All of it's going to be electronic. The full submission is going to be there for the public and for you to access as well. It'll be outlined in chapters, so each department will be segregated out, so you can easily click on the police, and everything will be there with the narrative, the operating budget, as well as their capital requests that I am recommending move forward for you. Okay.
So will there be any resemblance to our previous budget book in any way?
Um,
Some of the line items, some of
yes,
the,
the ledgers will remain the same. That those ledgers for the operating will remain the same.
that'll be
In
helpful. Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay. So we can still look at last year's,
Oh
compare it
yeah,
to what we have online. It's just the sort of, maybe as we're seeing today, the background and
yeah,
the presentation and the why is going to be
yes,
much more dynamic.
Yeah, also
yes, very
more
much so.
granular. Yeah.
Great. I know that some of you had come to me and asked, well, we never saw any requests for what dates we have availability, but with such a complicated procedure, I don't know that Liz is able to do that.
Yeah.
We may be in a position where not all of us will be able to attend everything, but we will make every effort to do so. I anticipate that. Am I speaking correctly for everyone?
Yes. I would just say one thing, and I don't know whether it is correct or not, but I have a feeling it might be useful, Liz, also to have like an extra day on the calendar just in case
Hmm.
we run over or there is like a whatever, winter storm or things like that. Because I know that it happened last year. We ended up spending more time on the budget reviews, and then we had to do another meeting, which was very critical. But I already had like travel plans, could not participate. So it gets more difficult because people also travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
So if we
No,
have the dates, yeah, as
I
extra
took into
day, I think would help.
consideration the
Yeah,
school breaks as well,
yeah,
because that typically is when at least anybody that is it's a good time to go anyway, even if you don't have
right,
children
right,
in
right.
school. It's they're
Yeah,
nicely spread out. So yes, but if there is anything that you see as an issue or concern about, please let me know. Especially as you can see on the budget calendar, I did itemize out the ones that are by charter requirement. So, or bylaw requirement. So you see the dates of like we have to get these
right,
items done by a certain
right,
date.
right.
So you are fully aware of the kind of the constrictions that we have in the calendar. So if there is anything, please let me know. This is always, and Rich said this is always going to be in a draft form until literally town meeting day.
Yeah.
And because there could be a new meeting, like you said, Milena, that just pops up and we add it in there, or that there's something that we forgot and we need to just adjust a little. So
And I
until it's all
suppose,
done.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
suppose the meeting on Tuesday, February 3rd, wait a minute. No, I thought there was a date when the select board determines when the meeting, when the town meeting date is and all of that. Okay.
January 12th is when the select board will be
Okay.
officially designating the annual town meeting because they have to open up the warrant for
Right.
citizen petitions. So that will be official on January
So
12th.
at that point, if there are any requests for changes of any of the other dates, moving by a day here and there, is that something that can be heard and we can just see if that's possible?
Yeah, it's well, the town meeting date, and the citizen petitions is not actually going to impact the budget itself.
Right.
So it's just kind of there are additional steps involved in the whole process when you look at like,
Right.
a full menu, right? You got to
Right.
figure out what you're having for appetizer and a dessert. So these are all the kinds of things that you're looking at to plan the full meal.
And all meetings we've discussed are not on this calendar. I see already the January 26th meeting that we were discussing today about the presentation
Yes.
from about all of the changes possible to taxes is
Right.
on the 26th, which is a Monday, January 26th.
Yeah, so that meeting, that's a good example, Rich. So that meeting actually is kind of an introduction to items that could be articles on the town meeting warrant.
Right.
So it is kind of an introduction. What does it mean? What are like the percentage rates for certain things that we might want to consider? How does that impact, or how would that relieve some burden on one versus another? So that's giving some dedicated time for discussion and decision making, whether or not this is something that the decision makers, you and the select board, are interested in pursuing to bring to town meeting on the warrant, which I need to know so I can put it on there. So by April we can finalize the warrant. So, but you need to know what does all this mean instead of just saying,
Right.
sure, put it on and we'll talk about it later. Let's talk
Right.
about it first and be proactive before we put things on for town meeting.
So as a follow-up to our previous discussion as to what is there a better time when our committee can normally meet? It appeared from our calendar generally that the fourth Tuesday or the fourth Wednesday of the month might be something for us to consider rather than the third Tuesday. Looking at this calendar, the only conflict is not something we're involved with. That's your town manager and department head meeting on the 27th of January, 24th of February. That then we're already into our budget meeting. So we're really talking about January, everyone. Do we
Oh,
want
okay, just
to
1 month.
do we
Okay, all
want
right.
to meet
Okay.
on the 24th, Tuesday the 24th? I'm sorry, Tuesday, the 27th of January instead of our regular 20th of January meeting. Although the 20th may be enough time for Ally to have December completed for us. Ally, can you? Oh, I wait a minute. I can't do the 20th. I can't do the 20th. So I'm throwing it out to you guys if we can possibly have our meeting on Tuesday, the
Well, it's
27th, or if that is a problem for others.
That works for
Great.
Fine with
That's
me.
fine for me. I'm good. Yeah.
How about you, Anne? How does that look?
It works for me. Michelle?
And
Yes,
Michelle?
it's fine.
Great. And I will move the meeting in
I'm
January
moving it
to January 27th.
at 6
And then if you guys could put on your calendar the joint meeting on the
Yeah.
26th
Got it.
so that we can be fully involved with that tax meeting. I think that's everything we needed on the timing, but you have a question, Anne.
Yeah, mine isn't about the meeting time. So if people want to talk more about that, I can wait.
Go ahead. What was your question?
So my question, and Ally, just tell me if this would make the reports too complicated or the font too small, but is there any way to sort of do a dollar sign or percentage change line by line, or is that just gonna make the budget spreadsheets way too wide for the, because you do it at the bottom where you say, here's the dollar change for the entire budget, departmental budget. And it's a percentage, but, I mean, of course, it's, we still go through line by line, but I've always felt like it would be so great to have something highlighted, but if that's, but I know it packs onto a page and already the font is really small, so I just don't know if that's possible.
Okay, I will put that in my notes and see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, that would be great.
Basically just a column, a whole column that says the percentage of change rather than the total.
Yeah, from
Each line.
voted in budget from fiscal year 26 to the proposed budget for fiscal year 27. Yeah. Or even an asterisk, like highlighting something more. I don't know, but something.
So, are we completed with our discussions of meeting dates and budget action calendar? I believe we are. So shall we go to citizen speak time? Are there any citizens who wish to speak?
There's 9 people in the audience, so.
I see James from a Great Barrington citizen has his hand up.
Hi, everyone. This is
James.
James Garzone, 84 North Plain Road. Just to be
Hi,
quick.
James.
One, I just want to say thank you. Finally, after all these years, I think we have a financial plan that's going to set a better path going forward. As you've all said, Great Barrington has become unaffordable. So it sounds like we're going to finally rein in the spending. So thank you. Another thing, thank you, Liz. I've heard you speak several times, and I have better confidence in our path forward because of what you're saying. So I hope that continues. 3, I'm also glad that I hear some better consistency across the boards. I attend many meetings and I hear inconsistent information, and this sounds a lot better to me. Michelle brought up a point about healthcare insurance that's been brought up early in the year, but now it's percolating. There's hidden expenses that we're going to be incurring. So just in general, the tone, the communications, the transparency, so much better. And I really hope it continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James, for those comments. I don't see any other hands raised. So I will move on to media time. Do we have anyone who wishes to say anything during media time? I see no raised hands, so I will make a motion to adjourn our meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Or do we have to have a roll call?
Aye.
I think any nays? I think all are ayes. Okay. Thank you all for
Good night.
attending for a wonderful substantive meeting. Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
time, good week.
Thanks,
Thank
Liz.
you.